violence or no other kind of violence.
Get away! I could be at work, at school, in my car, I can still get shot by the police, but I can get shot anywhere.
So it is what it is.
What's good, YouTube? It's a Black Gen Z Mindset. Make sure you go ahead and like, comment, share, subscribe. Let's get into the video.
We sat down with Detroit Police Chief James White in our second part in a three-part series. We tackle even the taboo topics. But you have to discuss it all, even the uncomfortable subjects, to get to real answers. We begin with the 33 barricaded gunman situations Detroit police dealt with last year. We know the truth is, in some cases, some of the subjects at the heart of these crises are themselves in crisis. That was the case 10 times in 2021. Police never know what they're going to find at a barricaded, except almost always a tense, dangerous, and potentially deadly situation. When we taped this sit down with Detroit Police Chief James White, his department was dealing with someone who had barricaded themselves inside a location. Of course, not every case like this involves mental illness, but the reality is, some cases do.
Here they go with the mental illness. The officers obviously are doing a tough job. We've got people out here chanting defund the police during their off time, and it's crazy. It's sad. It's sickening, because they're out here every day dealing with these super gremlins on demon time. Situations where it's barricades, whatever, somebody barricades themselves in, somebody shooting at the police, whatnot. But then at the same time, they have to deal with the backlash from the community. They have to deal with these super gremlins getting let off, getting out on bond, on low bonds, for that matter, off of violent crimes, getting released back into the streets. So all of the resources are being used, and they're being abused. So I think that's why the news is trying to highlight this story, because they're trying to, give a little insight to what the police have to go through and deal with.
They're likely going to be arrested. Mm-hmm. So is there any place in which you have, or our system has, the power to treat those people instead of incarcerate them?
Wow. Treat those people instead of incarcerate them. Listen to what this sister is saying. These same super gremlins would shoot her. I'm telling you, they would do some foul things to her, not care at all. And then she's asking the officers if they can treat them. What are the officers gonna do? Sit them down and talk about their problems? No, some of these guys can't be fixed. All right, they can't.
Incarcerate them in a way that they can still have treatment and remove the threat to themselves and the population. Is it something you can advocate for? What's happening with all these barricades? We don't follow them through, frankly.
Yeah, that's a very good question. And oftentimes they do get the treatment. And that's the part of the story that doesn't get told. And if you're looking at someone who's in mental health crisis and you're giving very specific directives from a law enforcement standpoint, let me see your hands, put your hands up, turn around, walk backwards, those types of things, they may not be able to interpret what you're saying because they're in crisis, and they may actually view your presence as something that is intimidating. Having officers trained in mental health intervention, crisis intervention, is really paramount to our success.
And what they're not saying is sometimes when these officers respond to these barricaded situations, the super gremlin is baiting them in to do something crazy. Okay, remember that story that we did? I I forgot exactly where it was, but the Super Gremlin like killed his girl and then he killed his baby mama and then baited the officers by putting the child out there, and he starts shooting at him. Like, this is what they got to go through. So it's way past mental health. It's way past trying to treat somebody. And this is why you ain't gonna get none done, because these sisters are talking about treating these people instead of locking them up and throwing away the key.
Chief White is a state-licensed mental health counselor, giving him unique perspective. The policy of the Detroit Police Department not to re-victimize people who may be in crisis. If no one has been hurt, the department takes a treatment-first approach.
Years ago, I talked to the late, great Benny Napoleon about the number of people he had incarcerated at Wayne County Jail that were suffering from mental health crisis, and it was startling.
As of March 17th, the Wayne County Sheriff's Office tells us of their more than 1,400 inmates, roughly 50% are flagged as mental health consumers.
Well, everybody is gonna claim mental health once they get in trouble. That's the facts. And then the type of atrocities that these super gremlins are committing, a lot of times you can't say anything but, yo, this dude is crazy, because what he did was so insane and so disgusting and gruesome that you can't even fathom that they did something like that. But it's the reality. Okay, and we all know that it goes down in Detroit. I don't have to be the one to remind you about the situation where the single mother got chopped up. This is happening all the time.
Approximately 25 to 30% are on mental health meds.
And that's really for us is the key, and that's not to criminalize someone who's in a mental health crisis, because candidly, what's the benefit of that?
Sure.
This is a person who did not ask for what they're dealing with, so why not give them the services that they need?
Well, the victims that these super gremlins inflict harm upon didn't ask for that either. See, this is why it's never going to work. This is why the community is always going to be in the situation, because we got dudes like this who are the sheriffs and they're the leadership position, and even he's soft on crime.
Mental health certainly isn't the only thing police deal with on a daily basis.
The city of Detroit, 30.6% of people live in poverty.
Yeah.
You know, our incarceration rate is nearly 600 per 100,000 people. So we have broken families. You have no part in that.
Yeah.
That's the hand you're dealt. That's the hand we're all dealt.
Absolutely.
What role does that play?
By nature, policing is a reactive business. It really is. I mean, when people call the police, something has happened. When you talk about crime prevention, those are crimes that don't happen. Therefore, the police don't respond. So you're measuring against a variable that didn't occur. We tried to look at literally everything that each precinct is represented here.
Chief White just unveiled an empirically based strategy to fight crime in Detroit. Many of those measures preventative. But we also talked about the things that are beyond the control of police.
A person comes in contact with policing or comes in contact with the police in a negative way for violence or violent crime. There are a lot of different things that's failed to get them there. You know, trauma begets trauma. I was talking at a school the other day, and I asked, how many of you have seen someone get shot? And almost half the kids raised their hand. Almost half the kids raised their hand.
And I guarantee those kids came straight from the community. Okay? That's the community. Half the kids done seen somebody get shot.
Scared straight programs and things like that, they don't work because the kids are already scared. You can't scare them straight. They're already fearful. I think you absolutely have to go and talk to and engage with young people, and even younger than we once thought, because of the level of engagement they're having with social media. I think they're being tossed into a more adult environment, whether they're ready for it or not.
And then social media is also condemning the police over there. So you're dealing with a dual-edged sword here.
No, it's not all hip hop. I'm asked to turn our backs on murder music. So it's pushing our kids to be dangerous. It's celebrating the murder and homicide and robbery and treachery and savageness.
And that does bring to mind one more taboo topic that Pastor Mo, for example, is working on, which is the question not just of social media, but of entertainment. And I'm specifically talking about, music. I mean,
yes.
Again, it's taboo because it requires a self-reflective look at our own community, doesn't it?
A self-reflective look at our own community. Lord have mercy. I mean, they acting like this is the first time they looked in the mirror as a whole at the community. It's in shambles. You seen his face when she mentioned the music. Okay? There are things going on that you can't just put it back in the bottle. It's like a shaken up 2-liter. Okay? The carbonation is coming out like it's fizzing everywhere. You can't put the top back on. You done lost half the bottle by the time you figure out how to get the top back on. I mean, that's the community in a nutshell.
I'm not going to tiptoe around to make people feel comfortable with my position. The reality of it is, it's not okay. It's not okay to just say anything and to be about, solving a beef by shooting someone because they, quote, disrespected you. And I do think that entertainers have a responsibility. I do.
Education, also something we had to talk about.
I'm not about, tossing anyone under the bus or any individual or anything like that. But the reality of it is we've got a failed education system in the city that has failed for many years. If the education system is failing, then people have less options. We have a literacy problem in our community. All these things drive behavior, but it's a very difficult job. It is a very difficult job. And for those who think it's an easy job, I don't know what they're looking at. But the reality of it is there are a lot of different things that impact policing, and a lot of different things that impact crime.
And in our final story, we discuss the state of some 800 green light locations in detail. DPD says crime is down 23% at those sites. We ask whether that crime reduction affects surrounding crime in a material way. And we delve into the civil rights implications of facial recognition. What's DPD's penalty?
The civil rights implications of facial recognition. Who y'all think they talking about?
For misusing this technology. It's coming up.
I'm here on the corner of MLK and Frederick Douglass, where a shooting just took place. And as you can see, it's a pretty rough area. So I'm basically risking my life reporting on this madness. So make sure you do me a favor and hit the subscribe button. Like the video, hell, share the video. And make sure you go ahead and leave a comment down in the comments section to continue the discussion on how we can find solutions to all this son violence in the streets. I'm Jenquavius Jackson, here live, reporting from Atlanta, Georgia, BGZM News 17.
News out of Warren, police investigating a deadly shooting at a gas station.
7 Action News reporter Brett Cast is on the scene, joining us now near Jarvis and Ryan. And Brett, what do we know?
Well, Glenda, this is still very an active investigation. They're still searching for the suspects, but what we do know is that a 46-year-old man from Oakland County is killed in what police are calling possibly an attempted robbery. So if you see the scene here, you can see a lot of police are still on scene right now. And what we heard from Warren Police Commissioner Bill Dwyer is that it appears that the victim was in his car, and then another car had pulled up with 2 men. One of those men got into the victim's car, and then after a discussion, the person produced a gun. The victim, or the suspect, came out of the car as the victim.
Guys, he said it was a robbery. I've told you guys before, you can't sell these super gremlins nothing, man. Like, don't be meeting up with them online. It could have been a drug deal gone bad. Don't be trying to, make a play with a super gremlin. It's not even worth it, bruh. It really isn't. Okay? It really isn't. That money don't spend right. Whatever transaction that you organize with this super gremlin, You should have backed out. Point blank. We don't know what it was over yet. We don't know what they were trying to rob or, what was taken. All we know is that it was a super gremlin on demon time.
Victim came out of the car, and then the victim was shot in the head. We are still trying to figure out more details on who the suspects are. We know police are looking and investigating this case, but we do not have any description of the suspects or what vehicle they were driving. All we know is that 2 people were inside that vehicle, and again, that victim, a 46-year-old man from Oakland County, was pronounced dead here on scene. Again, it's still a very active investigation. A lot is still going on here, so as soon as we learn more information, we will bring it to you both on air and online. We're live in Warren. I'm Brett Cast, 7 Action News.
All right, Brett, thank you. We'll check back with you later.
The Warren Police Department working feverishly to get the suspect into custody as fast as they can, making a plea to the community to speak up if you know anything at all about this case.
Hold on, wasn't this the same sister from the first case who interviewed the police officer? And it's crazy because these sisters see how these super gremlins operate every single day. Every day. And they still talking about reform. They still talking about defund the police. They're still talking about the negative implications of facial recognition. And at this point, we're already there. Okay, everybody, well, you're supporting the police state. We're there already. We're there already. Okay? Cameras everywhere. You got cameras on your phone. Geolocations on your phone. Okay? We're there. This is the surveillance state. And the super gremlins are going to be the ones who usher in an even more invasive surveillance state. That's going to be on us, community. That's going to be on our hands. Okay? So the fact that she is over here complaining about a surveillance state when she's trying to advocate for these quote unquote mental health cases where these super gremlins are offing somebody, offing a girlfriend, offing a baby mama, locking himself in the damn house and taking up police resources and using our tax dollars on this BS. It's crazy.
So far, they know this was not a random act, and they do believe that the suspects and the victim had planned to meet at that gas station.
You'll see the victim backing into space in the Marathon parking lot.
Warren police describing the moments leading up to the fatal shooting of 46-year-old Talal Shamo.
Uh-oh. Pooh Shiesty mask. Guys, why even do business with a super gremlin with a Pooh Shiesty mask?
Up to the fatal shooting of 46-year-old Talal
Pooh Shiesty mask. I'm not even letting him in my car, bruh.
Shamo. Police say shot in his torso and head Wednesday. Investigators tell us the passenger in the suspect vehicle, a Ford Fusion, just off screen, got in the car with Shamo more than once. The last time firing shots, striking him. And then you see who police say is the driver of the suspect car, run over and shoot him again as Shamo opens the car door. Both of the people in the vehicle are considered suspects, and both of them, you believe, shot the victim.
That is absolutely correct. We feel that both the driver and the passenger of the suspect vehicle did in fact shoot the victim.
Warren police now looking for Joshua Malik Carter of Detroit. They believe the
Joshua Malik Carter. Super Gremlin of the hour. I'm telling you, these super gremlins are on demon time.
22-year-old is the driver, dressed in black here. The Macomb County Prosecutor's Office charged Carter with first-degree murder and felony firearm. He is considered armed and dangerous.
It was a senseless execution-type murder. As you know, he was shot several times. And we're offering a $3,000 reward. And it's critical that we get this killer off the street because he's already killed once, maybe before.
It don't seem like y'all want him that much with $3,000. I don't know anybody in the community gonna move for that. Not to turn into a snitch over 3 bands.
He'll kill again.
Police are still not 100% sure on a motive, but this was not a random act. They're also actively looking for the passenger who fired shots as well.
Special Operations units are working around actually they're out there right now. But we do need, as I've said a couple times now, we do need someone to come forward.
And again, that reward.
Talking to you, community. Anybody in the community gonna advocate for this 46-year-old man who was killed? Going once, going twice. Don't everybody rush up here at once now. Cause a stampede. Gone.
Reward is $3,000 in this case. The Warren Police Department says you can reach out to them. Of course, you can always call Crime Stoppers, 1-800-SPEAK-UP. It's very important to remember that you will always remain anonymous. $3,000 being offered for information leading to an arrest. Hillary Goulston, Fox 2 News.
3-year-old suspect Joshua Carter was arraigned Tuesday afternoon for the murder at a Warren Marathon station back on March 23rd.
This last Wednesday at 1:55 p.m. in the afternoon, the person that was arraigned today, the suspect, you can see clearly him exiting his car and shooting the victim in.
Wow. So what an unexpected turn of events. They actually apprehended the Super Gremlin who was responsible for this shooting at this gas station. All right. Miracles do take place. And when they do, we have to count the blessings. But it just makes no sense. Looked like a robbery, a drug deal gone wrong. And I'm just going to keep saying this, bro. Do not be selling these Super Gremlins anything. It's just a law. Like, unless you're a big retail store or something like that where you have levels of disposition from the hand-to-hand transaction, it's a bad bet, man. Buying or selling. It is what it is, man. These Super Gremlins are on demon time.
In the head.
Now, we're not going to show you the video of the actual shooting. It's obviously too graphic. But 46-year-old Talal Shamo, a father of 4, was killed. Yet Judge Michael Chupa was curious at Tuesday's arraignment.
Talal Shamo, you have no business doing business with these Super Gremlins on demon time.
The decedent doing at the point when he's shot?
He was exiting his vehicle.
Okay. Is there any observable weapon or aggressive movement by the decedent?
Nope, the deceased is actually trying to flee from another suspect that was inside his vehicle when he's approached by Mr. Carter.
And shot in the head?
Twice, okay. Close range.
The other suspect still on the run. And according to Commissioner Bill Dwyer, it's the suspect's half-brother.
Wow. So the guy wearing the Pooh Shiesty mask is the half-brother. You can't make it up. And these Super Gremlins finna do some time, okay? They may not do as much time as we would like to see them do, but they're gonna do some time.
He's 21 years old. We know that he's out there, and he's going to be arrested very soon unless he gives himself up.
Stay tuned.
21 years old. And I think the brother's like 23. I mean, these Super Gremlins, these young Super Gremlins, they're heartless. They're heartless, man. To kill this man over what little drugs y'all was doing or whatever they was transacting makes no sense. You gonna kill somebody on camera in broad daylight. It's ridiculous.
As far as the relationship between Carter and the victim, was this a business relationship between these two people?
Well, again, I think you can surmise that it was something probably illegal going on. We're looking at probably a narcotics transaction gone bad.
So the shooting in broad daylight is narcotics?
Yes. That's what we believe.
Carter will be back in court on April 7th for a pre-exam conference, and his preliminary exam is set for April 14th. Bond was denied.
Wow. Whew. I mean, at least they threw us a bone there. The bond was denied. And I know people are like, well, he murdered somebody. Yeah, bond should. Well, that's not the norm. A lot of these dudes are getting off on bond with murder charges and all. Look at Chicago. Look at the story that I did in New Orleans about the Bokio Johnson. He killed the guy who was out on bond for killing his son. So these super gremlins are getting out on bond. I don't know what y'all talking about.
In Warren, Charlie Langton, Fox 2 News.
Gang violence and other kind of violence.
Guess what? I could be at work, at school, in my car, and I can still get shot by the police. I can get shot anywhere.
So it is what it is.